questions right away.
Coach Emily Heslin last week said that she felt like the team was on the cusp for a while of making and playing up to your level. When did you kind of see things developing and come to fruition last week?
Yeah, I think this team, we've had our moments throughout the course of the season where you see us put together a really strong performance, but the complete performances started happening in the tournament for sure. I think the biggest thing was once we got to the tournament and that first matchup was Rutgers, and we felt really good about that matchup considering how the game went in the regular season. I think that's when the players started to realize everything that they still wanted to achieve was still attainable. And I really, really think that they had this mission of we know that we don't want it in somebody else's hands to be able to make that decision. So, they definitely powered through the tournament and couldn't be more proud of them.
April, what wasn't lining up just right during the regular season?
I think, like Coach said, we had games where we had moments where we saw what we were capable of, and I think we have a lot of young players too, so that they were in the learning process. We had some older players that were trying to help them along, so we saw glimpses of what we could do, and we just hadn't put a full game together, but we knew what we could do. So I think, like Coach said, in the tournament was when we really kind of found our rhythm. And Rutgers, we played a really solid game, and we knew we had to bring that against Nebraska too, and we were able to. And then I think with those two games leading into Penn State, we knew we could take them on too, even though it didn't go so well 2 weeks ago, because we knew we were a different team at that point.
When you have a goalkeeper back there, obviously, that's making every save, especially in the tournament there, how much confidence does that give you? If you get one, you may have a chance to win.
Yeah, that was huge for being on the field. As a forward, we can only do so much on the defensive side. So when Maddie Nielsen was making those saves, it was super energizing, I think, for the whole team, but especially the forwards, because we knew that when we got our opportunity, because we knew we were going to get one, if we put it away, that we would take the game because of how well Maddie Nielsen and the defense have been playing.
And Maddie Nielsen, I think, her best performance of the year to date had come against Rutgers in the tournament. They had 4 opportunities that they got in behind, and her timing of coming out and squashing those opportunities was fantastic. And I think going into the Penn State game, when we got to overtime, everybody kind of knew if we get to PKs, she's going to save at least one. Mm-hmm. And if you watch the PKs, she went the correct way on every single PK that they hit, and she does that consistently in training, and so that takes a lot of the pressure off of the players who actually are stepping up to take the PKs for us. Of hey, we know she's going to save at least one, so let's just do our jobs and we'll get through this.
What was the early part of the season like with that back line in front of Maddie and kind of a whole new unit kind of playing together for the first time?
Yeah, I think, there's certainly a lot of challenges with that. You have Athena Kuhn, who never played a minute in the back line in her entire life, not even in club, high school, anything else. And so, her working in there, and early in the season before Petey was able to be back on the field, Nikki sliding into a center back role where she'd been playing on the outside her career here. Those two we knew had all the pieces to be a really good unit, and if we could get them solid, the players on the outside would just kind of come along with them, and they did a great job. They did a great job early on for what we needed, and Marissa Winningstad, I think, has been growing over the course of the season. Delaney Stecker was playing early on, and then as Petey was coming back into the mix, Catherine Billings stepped in and was getting some time there. And I think with a new back line, a new goalkeeper, new coaching staff, you've got all these different pieces that are coming along with it. Our players, I think, ahead of them busted their butts on the defensive end to put teams under a lot of pressure, to make it a little bit easier for them to read what they were gonna face. And they just kind of grew together. They knew it wasn't going to be perfect, but they knew if they could just get a little bit better each time out, that we could get somewhere. And they did great against some really, really strong opponents early on. Stanford had a really hard time getting dangerous against us. So I think the fact that it started with what it was, and then you get Petey back into that mix and are able to get Nikki back into what's been her more natural position for us here. Marissa continued to just grow over the course of the season. We couldn't be happier than we are with where this group is at the moment.
NCAA tournament is nothing new for this team. I mean, obviously 3 of the last 4 years, but does that experience help? I mean, obviously you've got younger players too, but you've obviously been there before and been part of it. Does that help, just the mindset going in?
Yeah, I think having a strong senior class right now, and with that experience has really helped. We kind of know what to expect, and I think as an upperclassman in general, we've been to one together. Seniors have been to 2 before, so I think bringing that experience along and helping to kind of let the younger players know what it's like, but also like leading the team on the field is going to be huge for us. It kind of showed in the Big Ten tournament a little bit, and now we're just going to take that into the NCAA tournament.
What is the biggest difference in an NCAA tournament game, maybe compared? Obviously, you just played a tournament and won the tournament, so I guess it's maybe similar in that way.
I think one big thing is like the Big Ten tournament, we've most likely seen all the teams before. It's Big Ten soccer. Everyone knows what a Big Ten game is like. And now going into SEC territory, it'll be a little bit different. We haven't seen Auburn ever. We'll get a good scout on them, but I think that, and also knowing that like it's one and done. So once you hit NCAA tournament, if you don't bring your game and the other team does, that could end your season. So it's bringing your game, the game you know you can play every single day, every single game, and just seeing as far as you can get.
Coach, what is the challenge with Auburn, and what went into the reason that you guys are going there, or did it come down to the RPI?
Don't know what the you never know where you're gonna get thrown as you get into selection showtime. The great thing is we knew we were in, so it was just a matter of who's the opponent and where is the game. Auburn, we like the matchup. They're a team who plays soccer. They're not going to be super direct. They're going to be athletic. They're going to be organized. Karen is somebody that I've known for a really long time. Becky worked under Karen for a number of years, so there's familiarity from a staff standpoint of what they are. And we've been poring over film since the announcement. So we like the matchup. We think it fits our team very well, and it's going to be a battle. I can tell you that for sure. We've watched games on their field. It's a big field, which we like. Our field here is big. We keep it big for a reason. The field plays fast, which also, again, with us when we're playing in a really good rhythm, works really well for us. So we like what the matchup looks like. Now we've got to break it down and get a couple good sessions in before we get down there, so these guys feel as good as we do going into it.
Can you just put into words what it felt like to have that championship after such a trying regular season where you finished 7th and didn't play your best at home, but when it came down to road matches, your team went above and beyond?
Well, obviously winning a Big Ten championship was like at the top of our list throughout the season, and I think early on, again, like I said, we had a young team, so early on it was kind of getting those players up to speed on what college soccer was like, what the grind of the season was like. So I think we did hit some road bumps, but Coach always says Big Ten, or even season in general, has its ups and downs. So I think knowing that and kind of riding out those downs to get those ups was huge for us. And then finding our stride in the Big Ten tournament, again, like I said, we knew we needed to win the tournament to kind of extend our season, so we did everything we could, and I think we set ourselves up well to go into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and I think to build on what April's saying, when you go through a season like we did with as many new players getting into the mix as what we had, again, I'll go back to we have a new coaching staff as well on a whole. It would have been easy for this group at any point to just kind of hang it up and say, this is going to be a challenge. Let's just get through it and everything. And it's a testament to the senior class for them to step up and lead this group through the belief that, hey, even as a 7th seed, we can get this done and we can still accomplish everything that we want to do. And so I think for me personally, seeing these guys get to lift that trophy at the end of the weekend was just kind of that validation of how strong of a leadership group that senior class is for this program.
And you've been, again, really successful on the road this year, and especially in neutral sites. I'm curious, why has that been the case this season? Because your record at home in front of your fans was under 500.
I don't know. Honestly, we always play well at ELR. It's a great field, great facility. We have great fans. I think part of that might be the opponents we faced. I know we faced some of our top opponents at home, which was always fun. It drove us, but again, they're tough opponents, so that might be a case. Also, I think we travel well. Like, I think this group has played better on the road than any of the other teams I've been on, and I'm not quite sure why that is, but I think that plays into our hands going into this tournament.
Yeah, when you're on the road, you have a lot more control over what's on their plate. You know, they don't have to go to classes when we're on the road. They have set, you know, study times and those kind of things. The schedule for everybody is the same. So they're eating at the same time, they're training at the same time, they're working on their recovery at the same time. So when you're on the road, all of the focus gets to be just on the task at hand. Where when you're at home, there's a lot of other things that are going on. And so, you know, I think for this group, it just worked for them to have that set schedule, and you know, you're all together the entire time. So you kind of get to fuel off of one another's like focus, energy, enthusiasm for those opponents. And like April said, you know, like we had a couple of games that were off and stuff at home, but for the majority of the home games, we played well and we had ourselves in a good enough position to be able to win those games. And, you know, our sport is an unforgiving sport. And sometimes, you know, it's one or two mistakes or one or two bad calls along the way that put you in a position where you don't come out with the result that you wanted.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. April, Coach, thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for coming.